What little thing can enrage you? A rock in my shoe, even a tiny one. Yep. And also when I'm wearing ankle socks and they start slipping off of my foot inside my shoe, so I end up wearing it practically on my toes while my heel is naked. Also wet socks. People littering, especially when there is a trash can nearby. Especially right now. Latex gloves, masks, and disinfectant wipes all over the parking lots. Throw them out in the trash, you animals. When people shut my door, but it closes where it doesn't click in and just slowly opens up again. My wife and son both do this when they use the bathroom. Then they complain when the dog lets himself in. I never thought closing a door fully was that hard to figure out. I've noticed that I have to lock the door now because with everyone isolated in my house, I guess we just walk into bathrooms now without knocking. My parents get mad at me if I lock the bathroom door, and it's stupid because it's like you shouldn't even know the door's locked because I had to tell you whenever I use it, or you're like, where are you going to use it? People getting in the train without letting other people getting out first. Elevator in my case. I once went to get out of a lift in London. This little old lady, like real stereotypical old granny, was waiting to get in. Instead of letting me out, she kicked me. Initially I thought it was some kind of mistake. Right up until she lifted her foot and kicked me again. I was just standing there in shock, like, where do you expect me to go? It's a small lift, I can't get out if you're stood there kicking me. In the end, I just stood there. The doors closed, I rode it up to the next floor, hit the button for every floor above me, so that the only lift in the building would finish going up another 10 floors before it came back down to her, and walked back down the one flight of stairs to my floor. I could still see her from my seat 5 minutes later. People blocking the pavement/sidewalk. X2 if they are walking slow, X3 if they are a group of 3 or more friends walking in a line, X10 if they are a group of friends walking slowly. Or when it's one person walking slowly in front of you and you want to pass them FE from the left side, and when you are almost there they go to the left and keep walking from left to right in front of you. I had walking behind 3 guys the other day. One of them blew his nose onto his hand and wiped it on his jeans, and also plus they kept spitting on the ground. I couldn't get around them without getting too close, so I was stuck behind them. I assume you didn't beat him to death with a pillowcase full of nails because you were maintaining proper social distancing. When I am busy doing a task I have been set, then being told that wasn't important, you need to do this task now, only to be yelled at later for not doing the original task. I hate contradicting managers. Or being yelled at by one manager for doing something another manager told you to do. Working retail is great. Please, just indicate when you're going to turn. Please. It's kind of the law. I'm turning here, how dare you not read my mind? It's not like there's a blinky thing that I can use to warn you. Had this one time, okay, many times, but this one time in particular. The city I live in sucks at marking lanes and stuff. So, it's my daily commute, and I'm familiar with the drive. This person wants to get over and I can see that they're slowly angling my way. They roll down their window when I wouldn't let them in and yell at me, "Can't you see I'm trying to get in here?" My response, "No. You're not using a turn signal." Her response, "Oh, you wanna play that way?" I mean, it's called the laws of driving. I don't think him really playing anything but the rules of the road, asshat. Being ignored when asking someone something politely. Those who make peaceful requests impossible make violent demands inevitable. Littering. Seriously, how hard is it to avoid? In German we have a word for people who do that, Hurensohn. In America we call them assholes. Someone asking me to calm down when I'm already calm. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point, and I get all mad trying to explain that I'm not mad. My friend always does that. It makes me mad. Like, "Can you hand that over to me?" Why? Just do it. Why? Just hand it over to me. Calm down. when a toe decides it wants to embrace a table's leg. This happened to me last night. The base of my toenail came detached and started bleeding everywhere. Oh, it was painful just reading this. People who scream for no reason. Let me generalize, people who are loud for no reason. The quiet is nice. I don't need you to shout something in my face when it isn't urgent and we're in an otherwise quiet location. My parents are like this. We're at a nice, quiet restaurant. Nobody else needs to hear about my uncle's foot odor problem. The sound of screaming children secretly enrages me even though I know they're too young to know what they're doing. Abandoned dog shit. But it's never on some side street or back alley, is it? It's in the park where children play and in front of the school stairs. My dog recently had major diarrhea. Right on this field of grass that leads to several houses' back gardens. I swear I tried to pick it up but it just kept dripping and I'm still thinking about the people and kids who might have stepped in that shit after I left. It looked like a crime scene. It's been weeks and I still feel guilty. When someone doesn't shut the door on their way out. People who always blame other people. Yeah, well, that's your own fault. Very slow drivers when you can't overtake them. Once some clown pulled out of a side road dangerously cutting me off and then drove well below speed limit. People not having the courtesy to be polite to store workers. I hate people like that. They don't even have basic courtesy to say a simple thanks or thank you. The worst is when you see people be actively rude towards store workers who are obviously handicapped in some way. I once saw a man actively roll his eyes at a wonderful young man with Down syndrome who told him to have a good day. People who stop in doorways to check their phone. Or people at the gym that take 15 minutes between sets, again on their phone, whilst I'm waiting for the equipment. People who stop in the middle of busy sidewalks. People who talk on speakerphone in public. Or play music on speakers they walk around with. Today I learned I have anger issues. Slow internet. More like inconsistent internet. It's alright, and then it slows down for no reason, and when you check why it's like that, it's okay again, and 5 minutes later, no internet at all. Dropping something, using all my effort to bend down and pick it up only to drop it again as I straighten out, rinse and repeat this process until you feel like exploding. Watching a smoker nonchalantly toss their cigarette butt on the ground or out their car window like it's not really garbage. I don't get where this comes from. I'm a smoker myself, and I'll admit, for years I used to do this. Then one day I was standing outside an entrance smoking, and there was a bin next to me. So when I was finished, I stubbed out the cigarette and threw it into the bin. And it was like an epiphany. Why the fuck had I not been doing this the whole time? I started noticing the mounds of cigarette butts on the ground outside doors and smoking areas, and it made me really ashamed. Since then I always make a point of chucking the butt in a bin, even if I have to hold on to it for a while I find one. And if there isn't a bin around, I'll just keep it in my cigarette box till I see one. But for years and years, I never used to see it as a problem. I can't explain it, but I think most smokers think the same way. It's like a cigarette butt is somehow different to regular litter, in the same way people will happily spit their gum out on the ground and not care. People who don't clean up after themselves. Toast crumbs in the butter. When my mom clearing her throat. Sounds awful and I feel like a terrible person whenever I get angry, but for as long as I can remember the sound of her clearing her throat makes me angry to the point I feel lightheaded. I love her so much but it's something I've struggled to control. Not breaking a Kit Kat. What kind of disturbed sociopath doesn't break a Kit Kat? When co-workers use something small and insignificant to tease, belittle, or joke with a tinge of seriousness towards someone at work. I always assume they are hiding their real feelings about you, disguised with passive-aggressive jabs. Then you're seen as sensitive for calling them out. Loud slurping noises when someone eats soup or cereal. Pisses me off. With their mouth open. When I don't hear someone the first time they say something and I ask what, and they say never mind and then won't tell me what they were going to say. Coughing without covering their mouths. People who spit on the ground. I hope that public spitting becomes more frowned upon because of coronavirus. During the Spanish influenza epidemic it was made a criminal offense in many countries because it spreads disease. People who smoke near young kids. Seriously, have the decency to not deteriorate their lungs alongside yours. What little thing can enrage you? Leave a comment. And subscribe to this channel if you want to see more same videos.